Hi, everyone. Welcome to our introductory webinar that's going to focus more on the music end of Soundtrap's capability. Today, we have Serena with us. She is joining us from Soundtrap, so pretty exciting to have a skilled educator and technician who will be able to share the potential of this program for our educators and our students. Serena's ready, and I'll just let everyone know here today that there's a lot of buzz about this. I have not gotten so many emails about anything that I brought to KP, and especially none of the things that I've been able to offer. So that's pretty exciting to see such a great product coming our way. So Serena, take it away. You have full rights for screen sharing, and I'll watch the chat and interject as necessary.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions. Thank you all for having me. I'm going to talk a little bit about what Soundtrap is, and I'm going to show you a brief studio tour on the music aspects of Soundtrap. So Soundtrap is a digital audio workstation. It gives students the opportunity to create music, to collaborate with their peers, and share their voice publicly. So I'm going to share my screen and show you our studio. Awesome. You can see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So this is the project page. To enter the studio, you're going to click on the purple button that says Enter Studio. Fairly self-explanatory. It'll give you two options, music and podcast. They pretty much are similar. The only difference is the time ruler in music is in beats and measures, and in podcast it's just seconds. And then podcast gives you an automatic filter for your voice. But you can do recording in music, and I'll show you that as well. So this is our studio. It's very simple, very easy to use for kids of the younger grades and higher grades. The first thing I like to teach kids is the loop button. So this purple button on the right-hand side, music notes. These are our loops that are pre-made. We have 5,000 or more. We literally just got more today, so we're always getting more. And it's organized by genre and instrument. So I can do rock song and I can do rock drums. So if students want to listen to it beforehand, they can just press the play button. You can hear that? Awesome. If they like it, there's two things they can do. They can drag and drop it, or they can double click. And that goes into the play area. That makes its own track. So sometimes I talk to students about tracks versus loops. Loops are the sounds that continue forever. You can also tell kids that you can continue the loop for as long as you'd like. Something I recommend, though, when you're teaching it is telling them to turn off, to click off this purple line. What that is a cycle button, and it'll literally give you a never-ending song. So it'll go back to the beginning, and it'll just be never-ending. So I always tell them to turn it off so that they can keep their piece going longer and longer. So we have the drums. Next up, we probably do like a bass instrument or a piano, melodic piano guitar. Let's do, since we're doing rock, we'll do guitar. And then you scroll down to ones you like. Something you can also do with students is have them favorite it. So if they like a piece or a song, they listen and they like it, they can press heart. And then when they click on this favorites button, it shows them all of the hearted things they've done, which is kind of cool. So I've hearted this electric guitar. I'm going to drag and drop it. I'm going to drag it here. So here's what it sounds like now. So that's kind of more chordal. So let's see if I can find let's add an organ. Let's see if that sounds good. Now, this is a cool opportunity to talk to your students about, do these different instruments sound good together? That's kind of a nice application for this. So we have. Again, it depends on everyone's, opinions, if they like it or not. So another thing you can tell kids, again, they can loop it and make it continue forever and ever, or whenever they want to stop it. If you want to know how long the piece is, you move this play head to the end of the song. And on the bottom left, it says 1 minute and 2 seconds. So that's how you know how long a song is. Typically, I'll teach students, okay, give me a 30-second song, give me a minute song, and I gradually kind of go you know, higher and higher to a 3-minute song or 4-minute song. So those are the loops. Those are kind of the basics of Soundtrap. Something you can also do is have students create, actually play instruments. So we have the Patterns Beat Maker right here. This is the most fun thing ever. It's a drum sequencer. So we have the kick drums here. So this is based on 16th notes, right? So if I do the hi-hat like this, these are all 16th notes. I have my snare on the and so we go to the beginning and we'll listen to it. It's kind of cute. Again, gives students the opportunity to create their own if they like it. And they can play with it however they want. They can add different parts. So if you want more of the hi-hats or the toms, crash cymbals, that kind of gives them extra stuff to work with. You could also have them add pianos or keyboards or literally anything. So I always like the Rhodes sound. It's my favorite sound in the world. So I will turn this off. I'm going to do the recording. I'm going to hit record. And I'll actually turn on the metronome to help me. It'll count me down, and I can either press the buttons or play the keyboard. So again, I'm not the best piano player in the world, but so I have the drums and the piano. Again, so if you notice, this note might have been a little too late or early. I can actually edit the exact notes. So that's kind of cool. I can change it. I can move them. I can make it longer. I can make it shorter. I can change the note. Hold on. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You can zoom in bottom left-hand corner. You can actually change the notes themselves. So if I wanted to do that, that's kind of fun. Again, this gives students the opportunity. If you have a student who isn't very good at rhythm, this might be a good option for them to get better and to still be a part of the music making. So. And so I literally just changed this one note. There's a few other things you can do. You can have it fade in and fade out. You could do it through editing. You can also do it through these little tiny circles. I'm going to zoom in so you can see this tiny circle. You can click on it and fade out. So now we have, actually, I'm going to do it on this instrument because you'll hear it more. So we have here. So it gets a little quieter. So that gives students an opportunity to sound really professional sounding. Another way you can do that is through automation. So I'm going to change the volume. I'm going to make 2 little dots here, 1 dot lower, 1 dot higher, and now I've faded in. So this is starting to get into the more advanced stuff, right? Depending on your students' ages, you might just want to stick to the loops. It might be as simple as that. But again, this is if you want students to create their own. They can also create their own loop. So I made this piano song. I can add it to my loop library. Serena's song. I'm going to add it. It saves it. And when I go into my loops, there's an option where it says My Loops, and I've created Serena's song. So I can use that on any Soundtrap song. 2 months from now, if I'm making a song and I'm like, you know what would sound great? My loop. So that's an option. Another thing you can do is record your own voice. So if you have any singers, this is a cool option. Now, what I always like to do is change the voice filter. It starts with computer mic enhancer. I'm not a fan because it's very reverby. You can change that. I just choose dry, or if I'm feeling funny, I'll do psychedelic. And then you can record. So I'm not a singer, so I'm just going to do a rap. This is my rap, and I'm super excited to show you Soundtrap. Hey, that rhymed. So here's my psychedelic rap. This is my rap, and I'm super excited to show you Soundtrap. But maybe I don't like that. I can change this post-production. Maybe I want it to be a rap, and now it sounds different. This is my rap, and I'm super excited to show you Soundtrap. Again, giving students a wide variety of different type of filters kind of gives them some cool stuff to work with. Students can also edit it afterwards. You can reverse it. So that's something you can do with students. Auto-tune, again, I'm not a singer, so that might be an option for me. Voice transform, I'm actually going to go back to my favorite filter, the dry, because it sounds easier. So you can change the voice transform either up a couple octaves, down a couple octaves, or something really fun for younger kids, the baby sound. So this gives you that. This is my rap, and I'm super excited to show you Soundtrap. Again, gives kids a more engaging option. You can also change the pitch based on semitones. So there's a lot of options. Again, you can add that to the loop library. So these are some of the options you can do with Soundtrap. It's just very basic stuff. Towards the bottom here, you can change the tempo of the loops and the key of the loops. So for instance, a lesson that I like to do, something you can do is import a file. So you can import any MP3, WAV file, any audio, you just import it. So I will show you, I'm the world's biggest Will Smith fan. So I have Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and it is 102 beats per minute. So I'm going to choose, I'm going to change the tempo to 102. I'm going to confirm. It says, do you want to adjust this audio to the new tempo? Now, my piece is already in 102 beats, so I'm going to say I'm no adjusting. But what it does is it adjusts all my loops. So now any of my, actually let's do drum beats. Any of my beats will fit with this song. Let's find a good one. Very different than the original song, so let's see if that sounds good.
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down.
Again, very different. It's a whole new type of song. But so that is an option that you can do. I can also change the key. So if I were to Google key of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, let's see, E flat minor. So I'll change this to E flat minor. I'm not going to adjust because the original is already in that key, but now all my loops are in that key, E flat minor. So let's do a jazzy thing. Let's see if that sounds good. No, not the special effects. Let's see. Steaming and cooking. Let's see if that sounds good.
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became.
It's something. It might not be the original, but it is something different. And that's an option for students to really kind of connect with either pieces you're working on in your classroom, or if you want them to kind of remix songs that they already love. So those are some options. Do I have any questions? I know I have thrown a lot at you in a very short amount of time. Is there any questions in the chat?
We had a couple. So Deanna asked about changing chord progressions.
Yes.
And so I'll add that, and then just whether or not there were lesson plans. And so I threw the link in about the lesson plans, that there's loads, plus there's, I believe, 3 courses for students and 1 for educators. Am I right about that?
So we actually added more for teachers. We just added the level 2 for music and podcast. So we've got time.
Yeah. I was a little tentative about you messing with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air song, but you showed me the potential of our students just having fun with something of interest to them and being able to play with it and then show that to their peers. I'm going to open the mic for a second, Serena. We have a music teacher on, and we have like lots of classroom teachers and educators here, administrators. If anyone wants to grab the mic and ask a couple of questions, go ahead.
I'm just going to say for the record, the chord progression question wasn't mine. It was my musician husband's question.
Awesome.
I don't want anyone to think I really know anything about it.
I was impressed.
That's a great point. So there's a few things you can do. So we have, let's see if I can find it. We have somewhere in these 5,000 loops, we have ones that are literally just one chord. Let me see. Here we go. So there are a few ways you can change it. Let's do this synth chord here. So it's kind of the same chord over again, and then changes. So in our Facebook community, actually, which I'm going to mention a little later, some teachers mentioned that you can actually clip parts of this. So if you go to edit, you can split the region, or Command E. So you can split the region. So I have this first chord. Now I didn't want to do the other chord progression that came from, so I'm going to paste it. So I've just done copy paste like you would do on any Word document. So now I can transpose it to a different key. So it started in E flat minor because that's where the key I decided, but then I can change it to G. I can change it to any key you want. C. So now. So that's a kind of a hack of how to do that. Another option, if you are actually having students create their own. So I have a MIDI keyboard with me just for ease of use. So I have my C majors. Again, the same kind of idea. So I have my two little chords here. Same kind of idea. I can copy, I can paste, and then you can start changing it. So I can change the pitch. These are semitones, so we'll do 8. From the original. So there's a lot of options to change chord progressions. Hopefully that answered kind of the questions.
Can I ask, I noticed that the keys on the keyboard seem to have letters assigned. Can you play chords using the letters? Does that work okay?
Yes, absolutely. So again, if kids have like a piano keyboard, yep. So I'm playing comma, Q, and E. You know, it's an option. I think it confuses kids a lot. Being like, play the note C, which is a comma, but it's a way to do it. So then you just record it. Yep. Yeah, so that's kind of a fun way to do it.
Great, thanks.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, so when you were talking about tempo there and being able to adjust it, is there any way to do a break in your track so that you could shift tempo from first half to second half or anything like that?
That's a great question. I don't think we have that. Again, another hack that I would do is I would set up my piece with, with the one tempo. Okay, so I have the one tempo, and I would export it as an MP3. Save the project first. You save it, you export it, and then it mixes. And then what you would do is you'd go into a new piece. You exit the studio, you go into a new studio. And then you'll import. So you'll import that file. So you'll do add new track, import the file, put in your original song. And when you change the tempo for your new piece, you have 9 BPs per minute, you say don't adjust. Yeah, that would be my only hack for that.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's useful.
Yeah. We do have a time stretch, which works if you want to like slow down a piece gradually. So what I would do for that is, so if I want to change just this ending and slow it down, if you hit, I believe, Command or Option on a Mac, it turns into this little stretch audio, the bottom corner, and now I've stretched it to longer. And so now that's slower.
Right.
So that's another option if you want to slow it down like later on. But that's not in terms of like tempo numbers. So that's something to consider.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Sue.
Okay, thanks. I just, are all the loops meant to fit together? Like without question, they will all fit together? Because I tried my very first one that I tried, I thought, oh, that doesn't feel right to me. And so I had to move the track over a little bit and line it up myself.
Yeah, so the one thing that I recommend is turning this button on. This is the snap to grid.
Okay.
That means it'll automatically snap to these lines. So what I teach students to do is pop in your first one, turn off the purple, extend it if you like. And then when you put on the second one, snap it to the numbers. So see how it kind of snaps to these little tiny hash marks?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I recommend snapping it to the numbers. So that's an option.
Okay, perfect.
If you turn this off, it'll go anywhere and it will not sound good. So snap to grid is always my go-to for kids. Yeah. Oh, collaborating. Awesome. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes. So for collaboration, this little blue person button gives you the opportunity to invite people into your piece. So it saves the project and I can invite someone. So my colleague Jess, and they get an invitation on their Soundtrap to join. And what will happen is a chat box will open up. So we can discuss our piece. And if I put in a new loop, if I put a loop here, what happens is when I hit save, there's going to be an option that says sync. I click the sync button, and then my colleague Jess will see that hers will update with my changes. And then she can go in and change. And when she hits sync, a pop-up will show that says sync with your friend. And I hit sync, and her changes will show up. So there's an opportunity to collaborate. The most important part, though, is if students are collaborating, they have to be in the same groups together. So when you're creating groups with your students, so 5th grade music, when I have my students join Soundtrap, I'll give them this link so that they can all be a part of the same group so that they can collaborate together. Another option, if you want to be the collaborator, is you can create an assignment. So when you click create an assignment, you can either create a new assignment that's empty or based on an existing one. So what I usually do is I record directions and then I give them that. So this will say like, hey students, you're gonna recreate the Fresh Prince. Here's the song, add your stuff below it. You create the assignment and it opens up a folder in your project page. The kids will get their own copy, and when they change it, you automatically get it into your folder. So you can share using a link, which I recommend, or Google Classroom or Microsoft Teams. And this one's coming up in the future. So that's kind of a beta version. But so I usually share with a link because I used to teach with HyperDocs. So I copy the link, I give it to my students, and you'll see this folder says the assignment is today. And this is my original. Every student copy will be above that with their name. So it'll say Fresh Prince, recreate Michelle. And so I'll see that work automatically as soon as they edit anything in the project. So that's if you want to have their work. And then you can add students into each project. So if you want 2 kids to work on it, you just invite them.
That's amazing. You might have said this and I might have missed it. Can the teacher go into a student project during the process of it? So that we know that our teachers are engaged with music as it's happening. So can they go in and listen midway?
Yeah, so as long as the students have changed anything, it'll be in that folder and you can just pop into the studio and see what they're working on. And the coolest part is, so this is what the student is working on. And I can now go in here and my student would be here and I can chat with my student and say, great work, you're doing awesome. Keep up the good work. Or, hey, maybe click on the snap to grid button so that it sounds all kind of cohesive. So you can give them feedback kind of in real time, which is super exciting.
That sounds awesome. We're at 3:57 and I do want to follow our time. So I'm going to open it up to our attendees again and see if they have any specific questions about, like the assigning or the kind of loop of classroom management, all of that. So anybody, please grab the mic if you have a question for Serena while we have her.
So if you import an MP3, it'll just automatically bring the entire song, like a 3-minute song, into one track.
Yep. Yeah.
And then you can just like take the chorus if you want and clip the chorus.
Yep, exactly. So I'm going to import the file. I have this Marvin Gaye What's Going On vocals. And again, yeah, I can so I'll split the region. I move the playhead to where I want it to end. Split the region. Yeah, and so if I just want the kids to work on the chorus or learn it, here it is. Easy.
And so will the snap to grid work on that anymore because it doesn't know the loop?
That's a great point. So it is a little bit, needs a bit of finessing,
okay.
But it's pretty doable. Again, the more you zoom in, the closer you can get. So if I'm going to go right here.
Downbeat.
Exactly. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So I can get really close. Again, if you want to get even closer, you can turn off the snap to grid and then turn it back on to get it right on.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it takes a little bit of finessing, but it works pretty well. As long as you add the tempo, right? That'll help a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how do you know?
How do you know the tempo? Yeah, so what I usually do is I just Google what's going on tempo.
Really?
Yeah, 101 beats per minute. And so I'll change it. I'll say 101, confirm. I'm not going to adjust because the original's in that already, and it's already there. And so every loop will be in that tempo, and then you can also do the key. What's going on? Key, C major. Easy.
Oh, wow.
So I'll do the C major, and now every loop will be in that key. Yeah,
okay, cool.
Super helpful. Yeah.
Any other questions? Serena, like by the looks of the smiles on our participants' faces as you've been going through this, I think we see the potential for like music students for sure, but also for our kids to play with music, no matter like even our youngest of students who aren't in a credit music class, and we know that's so good for our students to inquire, play with music, and listen to great tracks like you were endearing to us with your selections. So that's perfect. I'm going to shut off. I'm going to thank you. We'll see you tomorrow where we're going to focus more on podcasting. You get the final word with what resources we should check out, where we should get started, and what's key for us to take from here if we're going to play with the music portion of Soundtrap.
Definitely. I'm going to put in the chat this slideshow. It kind of goes through my presentation I gave you, but with videos that you can watch on your own. Again, we also have the courses, which I highly recommend. That'll make you a Soundtrap Pro. But yeah, I'm excited to see kind of what you work on with your kids. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. All right. Yes, I agree. Thanks, everybody. I'm here and I have a direct line Soundtrap if you guys need have any questions specifically about this, but so many resources. And you said you were going to mention about the Facebook group. Yeah. I'm a member of that now, and what a wealth of resources, and you've got a collective group of people who are playing around with music and sharing their ideas.
Yeah, it's an amazing community. I recommend you all join. I put it in the chat as well. It's also in the slides. But yeah, thank you all, and I hope to see you on there.
Thanks, Serena, and thanks everybody for attending.